That's Tony Hancock in. Hancock's half hour.
Let's drop our differences, Sid, and welcome in the new year. After our first year as Hancock's Heroes, the first and most successful private police force in the country.
How successful?
You know, Sid. Very successful. You were there. You know how successful it's been. I'm proud of how successful it's been. A raging success, hasn't it?
What about on a scale from 1 to 10?
Now you're trying to get me boasting, aren't you, Sid? You know, somewhere in the middle. 8 or 9.
What about how successful it's been on a scale of 1 to 10 financially?
A disaster. No, Sid, it's been a terrible year, 2020. We're talking about 1 or 2 here, mate. Barely survival. I'm on me uppers.
I'm only asking because it's time for my end-of-year bonus. Isn't it, Hancock?
Bonus? I never mentioned a bonus. Let's have a look at your contract.
You never mention a lot of things in my contract, Hancock. What about that woman?
Well, I think Hancock's Heroes can stretch to £50 if we roll the boat out. It is a new year after all. Let's put 2020 behind us.
That's not enough, Hancock. That's beer money. How much have we got in the bank?
50 nicker. I just told you. That's your bit of the bank account anyway.
Is that all? Where's the rest of it gone?
Expenses. This office is very expensive, for example, and the company car is very expensive also.
What office? You don't mean number 23 railway cuttings, do you? It's a dump. It's free.
A dump? This is my house you're talking about. Anyway, you try and find an office in East Jean for less than 10 grand a month.
Is that what you're paying?
Oh, that's what I get as a landlord.
And when do I get to drive the company car? What is it?
It's a Mazda, Sid. When we get one, that is. I've got a bike in the garage you can use until we do. I'm saving up. Times are hard. It's going to have blue and yellow stripes on it.
Nah, I want a 10 grand bonus, Hancock. It's here, promised in my contract.
Just show me that for a minute, Sid. No, it's only in the small print. That's out of the question. It's daylight robbery. Sergeant James, I'm arresting you for attempting to defraud Hancock's Heroes out of a large sum of money.
If you're going to be like that, Hancock, I want the profits from the next case.
Best of luck with that, mate. It's literally a load of old knickers. A Mr. Truss reckons a woman put poison in his wife once, would you believe? You should have accepted my £50. This case is Woolworths, not Aaron's.
I don't know. Maybe there's more to this than meets the eye, Hancock.
Good morning, chaps. I've just had a call from Surrey Police to come and see you. They're too busy at the pubs to deal with my case. It's Inspector Hancock, isn't it? Pleased to meet you.
Good morning, and a Happy New Year to you too, Miss Willie. Actually, it's ex-inspector. I've officially retired, but everyone regards me as a real inspector. Don't they, Sid? Yes, we're Hancock's Heroes, a private police force. And Surrey let us pick the best jobs. You know, only the best clientele. We don't accept any riffraff, roughs, criminals, you know what I mean. We deal with a nicer class of person.
Absolutely. Of course I understand, Inspector Hancock. Else I wouldn't be here, would I?
I'm sorry, Miss Willie, to have to expose you to all this sordid nonsense. But unfortunately, we've had complaints from a rather shady man. A Mr. Tress.
Oh dear, that dreadful bounder. He's my ex-husband. I thought I'd seen the back of him.
If you don't mind me querying it, but Miss Willie, you've got a different name to your ex-husband.
Unfortunately, we were married, but I changed back to my maiden name recently.
I'm not suggesting there's anything wrong, but for any particular reason.
Well, I was planning on using Miss as a title, and I didn't want to be known as Miss Tress, did I?
Of course, we quite understand. There could have been misunderstandings. Couldn't there, Sid?
Well, that's enough of the questions. You've satisfied both Inspector Hancock and myself of your innocence. And as you're clearly not guilty, all you have to do is pay our fee of £10,000 and we'll tell Mr. Truss to leave you alone and close the case with your honour and privacy intact and no newspapers.
If only. I'm afraid you can't do that. He's got a very bright solicitor. My sister, in fact. And you're going to have to meet with the pair of them and convince them as well. Good afternoon. I'm Mr. Tress. I believe you met my ex-wife, Tess Tress.
Apparently she's using a maiden name now, Mr. Tress. She's Miss Willie now. Let's delve right down, get to the bottom of things. And we don't want any cock and bull stories now, do we? Let's talk about your underwear.
I'm sticking to my story, Inspector Hancock, in much the same way as my underpants were sticking to me.
Well, you've made allegations, Mr. Tress, that your ex-wife tried to poison your underwear. As unlikely, ridiculous and scurrilous an accusation as it might appear. Is that true?
I only wish my mother was still here. She warned me about women like Tess. My mother always looked after me undies when she was alive, God rest her soul. It was Tess. She sent me a pair of undies for Christmas that caused me considerable pain and discomfort. And that wasn't just the awful design on them. Polar bears and snowmen, would you believe? She's got awfully bad taste for them.
So, the underpants left a nasty taste in your mouth, did they, Mr. Tress?
No, stop messing about. I wouldn't put it quite like that.
If you're saying she poisoned them, do you know what she poisoned them with?
My able solicitor here tells me it was itching powder, though I don't know how she knows.
Yes, Sergeant James. Its proper name is Mucuna pruriens, a type of legume that produces seed pods coated with thousands of detachable spicules, needle-like hairs, but at school you probably knew it as itching powder.
I must admit for my sins, I may have used it on a number of occasions, and stink bombs and bangers and jumping jacks.
Yes, thanks for all our yesterday, Sid. By the way, that reminds me, I've been scratching a bit, you know, down there. What was that funny smell in the toilet last week? Like rotten eggs.
You're going a bit paranoid, Hancock. You know I never go anywhere near your underpants. You know that. I wouldn't touch them with a barge pole.
Oh, that was what you were sticking in my underwear drawer last week. Anyway, never mind us. So, how did it make you feel, Mr. Tress?
Do you mean how did I feel? Flaming itchy, of course. What did you think? It made me feel an overwhelming sense of goodwill to mankind and a newfound purpose in life.
We're demanding significant compensation from Miss Willie for embarrassment and physical harm.
So, what was embarrassing about it?
It would be easier to say what wasn't embarrassing about it. You wouldn't believe it. I had the vicar around and 2 friends for a little bridge party, and I had to keep sticking my hands down my trousers. It was agony. They thought I was up to God knows what.
No, I don't know. What?
Oh, you know. You don't expect me to say it, do you?
So, Mr. Tress, that constituted unusual behaviour for you, did it? The vicar would have noticed.
Of course it was. Do you think I normally go around sticking my hands down my trousers when I'm playing bridge? I was writhing I was.
Well, I don't know. I don't play bridge, you see. It's not allowed in the rules then. Like Twister.
Of course it's not in the rules. It's not called strip bridge, is it?
So, what sort of physical harm did it do to you?
I can't begin to describe it.
Why not, Mr. Tress?
Because I can't begin to describe it. It's covered in loads of bandages, that's why. They had to tie my hands to the bedpost to stop me scratching it right off.
Now, I've been feeling recently, Mr. Tress. Sid, are you sure you haven't been putting itching powder in my underpants?
Of course not, Hancock. Are you sure it was Tess, though, Mr. Willie, who put the itching powder in your underpants? Did you see her do it?
Of course Mr. Tress is absolutely certain. It was the underpants that Miss Willie sent him as a Christmas present that caused all the problems.
Underpants are underpants, Mr. Tress. So you don't have any other underpants with polar bears and snowmen on them?
Of course not. Do I look like a Wally who wears underpants with polar bears and snowmen on them?
Well, now you come to mention it.
Inspector Hancock has several pairs, Mr. Tress.
No, I do not.
Anyway, we expect you to arrest Miss Willie and fine her at least £5,000 for all the suffering endured by my client. So, how's it going, boys? Have you found out who did it yet?
They seem to have the perfect cover story, Miss Willie. They say that it was you who gave your ex-husband underpants with polar bears and snowmen on them. Have you ever possessed any itching powder?
I don't even know what itching powder is. But I did give him some underpants with penguins and snowmen on them.
I think that's sufficient to sway the court, Miss Willie.
So please tell me, Inspector Hancock, what is itching powder?
Its proper name is Mucuna pruriens, a type of legume that produces seed pods coated with thousands of detachable spicules. And you get it from this joke shop in East Cheam Street for £5.99.
Bravo, Sergeant James, you're so knowledgeable.
Are you sure you're not putting itching powder in my wife front, Sid? That gives me an idea. Don't worry, Miss Willie, we'll sort it out. That's it, Sid. You did it. No, I didn't. Did what exactly? Itching powder on Mr. Tress's underpants. No, I didn't. I used it all up on yours. I shall ignore that. Don't you see, Sid? We'll go and tell Mr. Tress that it was you what done it.
My patience is running thin. Have you found out who poisoned my knickers yet?
Hancock's Heroes always gets its man, Mr. Tress. But it is with huge regret I have to admit I have been nurturing a viper in my bosom. A viper by the name of Sergeant James.
What on earth are you on about? I never had a viper in my underpants.
How on earth did you find out, Inspector? You've got me banged the right. Using traditional policing methods, of course. I swabbed a chicken drumstick you'd been munching on yesterday, and on analysis detected a sizable quantity of detachable spicules, as well as a quantity of saliva.
You must be joking. I wouldn't accept underwear from another man. I'd rather take me chances with the vicar and his wife and daughter, and the dummy hand down me wife front.
Yes, that's impossible. It must have been Miss Willie. It was her present. Snowmen and polar bears. It came with a signed card.
Afraid I found a quantity of matching away fronts in his underwear drawer. Motive, means and opportunity. A fait accompli.
At least I'll be able to show me face at the vicar's again. I'll go round and pick me other wife fronts up right away and tell him the good news. Well, really?
Miss Willie was happy to pay us 10 grand to keep the newspapers out of it, so Sid ended up with a 5 grand New Year's bonus after paying off Mr. Tress the £5,000 compensation. Still, it's better than the £50 I offered, and more than he deserves for putting itching powder in my lingerie. He'll be getting some in his before next year, I can tell you. He's like a policeman with a kilt. But we're both looking forward to 2021, with Hancock's Heroes leading the way with its avant-garde approach to new policing and the new challenges we all face in the new year.